I wonder what your thoughts are this year in the run up to Christmas with all the uncertainty. Normally, I guess we'd be thinking about shopping, buying presents and food, films on TV, nativity plays at school, images of Santa or winter Christmas scenes on cards. Today is the first Sunday in Advent and I'm making an Advent wreath. What I've done is I've made it out of some holly and some wire, which I've got from one of my customers, Alan. Thank you, Alan, for that. And I've put it onto a little cross because obviously the cross is the central theme within Christianity. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this candle on here and I'm going to try and light it. It might be a little bit breezy, but here we go. Well, we'll see if that stays in. So good so far. What I'm going to do is next week, oh, it's gone out, but never mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it on to Steve, our vicar, next week. And he's hopefully going to use it in his service. And maybe Lizzie, his daughter, might want to put some more decorations on it. Maybe some red berries or something like that, if we can get hold of some. So this candle represents for me hope. I'm going to be talking about that as we go through. But what is Advent? Well, this is what I found out. The Latin word for Advent is adventus, meaning coming or something that's imminent. Now, in the 4th and 5th century, it was a time of preparation for new Christians as they got ready for baptism. Sometime later, the Roman Christians linked Advent with the coming of Christ, but not his first coming involving his birth, but his second coming as the victorious one about to judge the world. It's only when we get into the Middle Ages that Advent is then linked to the Christmas story as we know it. Karl Barth, the Swiss theologian, saw the connection of the first and second coming to Christ to that of dusk at night time and sunrise in the morning. He said they're part of the same promise. He said that our faith might be strengthened by Christ's first coming and give us hope regarding his second coming. Now today, Advent lasts 4 Sundays in the run up to Christmas. So the church is preparing to celebrate this event, the birth of Christ. In a way, it resembles Israel eagerly awaiting the Messiah at the end of the Old Testament. And remember, Israel had been conquered so many times by the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans. She was desperate for Messiah or Saviour to free her from the constant lockdown of her enemies. From our first reading earlier, the writer says, "Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and proclaim to her that her hard service has been completed, that her sins have been paid for." Because of idolatry and turning away from God, the Jewish nation of Israel had had an adulterous relationship with her God. But he was willing to forgive her and was preparing a way so that his glory could be revealed to all people everywhere so they could see it. Part of his plan was to send John the Baptist ahead to point in the direction of Jesus. Israel was looking so forward to seeing God revealed once again. Emmanuel, God with us, as he had done so many times in history before. For instance, during the Exodus, when Moses led them out of Egypt. In a similar way, we are looking forward to celebrating Jesus' birth, but also looking forward to seeing him again at his second coming. You don't need to tell me what a tough old year this has been with the pandemic and lockdowns. But one thing people have experienced during these times is a slower pace of life, an appreciation for nature, the importance of family and friends, time to reflect. I wonder if God is trying to grab our attention, asking questions about our priorities. What is important? Jesus' disciples thought it was so important to write down and tell people about the life of Jesus and what the implications of believing in him would be. They were witnesses to what had happened. Our second reading is from John's Gospel, John's account of what happened, and it's the first chapter. Now, John, disciple of Jesus, was writing about John the Baptist and Jesus, and he says John the Baptist came as a witness to Jesus, who is the light, the one who brings spiritual illumination to this troubled world. Even though he came into the world that he had made, he would have been rejected even by his own people. Although some did believe in his name, and he gave them the right to become children of God, to have a share in that inheritance. The Creator God, who made billions of stars, and that's just in the Milky Way galaxy, wants us to be part of his family. And that gives me hope for the future. To me, it's so sad that many in Israel who were waiting for Messiah completely missed him at that time. Even today, Israel is still waiting for Messiah to come. If God is trying to grab our attention with COVID, I wonder how many will respond. This Christmas is going to be like no other. It will be a Christmas to remember. The question is, what are we going to remember it for? Ask him to be Emmanuel, God with us, God with you. O come, Emmanuel.